Hey folks, welcome back to Tech and More Tech. I'm Carlo, and in this video we're going to go over Google's updated Nest lineup. As always, if you prefer a written version, head on over to techandmoretech.com or check the link in the description just below that like button. So just the other day, Google announced an update to their rather aging lineup of cameras and doorbells. I want to go over their new devices and their features, but also explore how this will all tie into the upcoming smart home world with Matter and other companies. Among the new devices, we have an indoor-only cam, an indoor-outdoor cam, a new floodlight, and a new video doorbell. The key aspect to all of this is that each device is cheaper than the one it's replacing, and it has more features, which is great for everyone. Based on the press photos, they all look exactly the same, perhaps with some variations in size. The specs on them appear to be pretty much the same in terms of camera quality. Instead of balling them out with top-end specs, they instead went for the intelligent approach. So instead of having 4K 60 frames per second video or something crazy like that on all the cameras, they all just have 1080p 30 FPS, but with better on-device learning to help with HDR and scanning at a quicker rate. Thanks to on-device machine learning using Google's new tensor processing unit, the cameras can process twice as many pixels at twice the frame rate. But more importantly, it can detect and recognize people, animals, packages, and vehicles. And then on top of that, it can provide specific alerts for each of them without needing the cloud, which helps both with privacy and with speed. This could also be the start of a robust automation on Google's platform, something that they are sorely missing. The Familiar Faces feature, however, will still require cloud-based facial recognition, which is part of a paid plan. And since we're talking about paid plans and what they offer, let's go over what is free and what isn't with these new Nest devices. With the free tier, you get up to 3 hours of event video history. Based on the language in the tech specs part of the Nest Cam page, it says it will only save clips that happened in the past 3 hours. I've reached out to Nest to clarify that it's not 3 hours of recent cumulative footage, like 36-minute clips or something like that, which would make more sense to me. And I say that because 3 hours seems like a very short period of time to hold on to potentially very important footage if something happens to your house. A coast-to-coast flight is over 3 hours, for example. Someone could break into your house, steal your stuff, and then the footage won't be in your account by the time you land? I find that strange. I think 24 hours is a much more reasonable amount of time if they're going to do it based on this versus cumulative video clip duration. If you're going to go on a trip anywhere, it's probably worth signing up for Nest Aware for the month just to make sure your footage is saved. If you do decide to sign up for Nest Aware, it'll cost you $6 a month, and you get 30 days worth of event video history, as well as the Familiar Faces feature, smoke alarm, carbon monoxide alarm, and glass breaking awareness. Nest Aware Plus is $12 a month, and you get 60 days of event video history, and then up to 10 days worth of 24/7 video history, so constant recording. The cameras do have internal storage, however, it only is used if the Wi-Fi goes out as like a backup. The cameras will then store up to an hour of recorded events in the local sort of storage, and then sync that back to the cloud when it reconnects to Wi-Fi. So, let's go over the cameras themselves now. Starting with the Nest Cam, this is the indoor-outdoor camera. It has an internal battery that Google claims lasts up to 3 hours between charges with typical usage. It can also be wired for permanent power, and most interesting to me is that you can actually buy a solar panel to hook it up to, so you can kind of have like a constant power. You never have to really worry about recharging it. It connects to the base magnetically, which is clever and similar to how the Arlo cameras do it. This does mean that they're kind of susceptible to being stolen. Someone can yank it off. Google says that the magnet is strong enough to withstand heavy winds and rain, and it's unlikely someone would try and just yank it off, but they could. So if that is a concern of yours, Google sells a $15 add-on that makes them theft-proof. The new Nest Cam records 1080p video at 30 frames a second, like I mentioned, with a 130-degree field of view, which is pretty standard. You can zoom in 6 times digitally within the Google Home app, and it does also use night vision with 6 high-powered infrared LEDs, as well as HDR processing to make the video clearer and of course it has two-way audio. It's available for pre-order today with a price of $180 and ships on August 24th. Moving on, the other outdoor cam is the Nest Cam with floodlight, which looks exactly like the Nest Cam, with two more Nest Cams flanking it that happen to be 2400 lumen floodlights. It's a wired-only option, as I imagine those floodlights would drain the battery in no time. The benefit to this over like a regular floodlight is the implementation of these smart triggers, so it will only activate when it detects a person or a vehicle, and not when your neighborhood raccoons are rummaging around through your trash. This light will cost $280 and will be available at a later date that Google hasn't disclosed yet. The Nest Indoor Cam, as you may expect, also looks exactly like the outdoor cam, but probably a little bit smaller since it doesn't need to have a battery or any sort of IP rating for weather. Unlike the other cameras that were announced, but similar to other Nest products, the Nest Indoor Cam comes in a few different colors, including white, beige, pink, and green. They're all very light and pastel, and you can even get it with a light wooden base. Very classy. The camera is also available at a later date for $99. And lastly, we have the Nest Doorbell. While this doesn't look like the rest of the cameras, for obvious reasons, I think it looks really sleek. It can be both wired and wireless and supports 8 through 24 volt power, so it should be compatible with most homes, which the previous doorbell was not. The rechargeable battery should last about 2.5 months according to Google, but obviously your results may vary depending on how many solicitors you get. The camera in the Nest Doorbell records 960 by 1280 video at 30 frames a second, also with night vision and HDR, and is subject to the same recording limitations as the other cameras. I've also reached out to clarify that this is on a per camera basis or a per account basis in terms of how much you can record. Similar to the indoor cam, the doorbell comes in 4 different colors, including white, beige, gray, or green, to match the exterior theme of your home. For some reason though, the Nest Doorbell Cam can't record 24/7 video history like the other cameras, even with the paid tiers of Nest Aware. Maybe it's an overheating issue, who knows. When installed at a regular height, the field of view sees the ground up to 8 inches away from the wall, which is great for tracking your packages. Though it would be nice if you could angle it a little bit more so that you can see all the way the intersection of the ground and the wall, so you make sure none of your packages get sort of stolen or misplaced. The Nest Doorbell will cost you $180 and is up for pre-order right now, and also shipping on August 24th. So now that we've talked about all the hardware, let's take a look at the smart home landscape as a whole and see kind of where this fits in. Project Chip recently rebranded as Matter, of which Google is a founding member, alongside Apple, Amazon, the Zigbee Alliance, and others. I have a video linked here for that. Aside from some promotional and marketing material from Matter themselves, and a few manufacturers committing to the partnership, we haven't really heard much from the big players and how they're going to fit into the whole thing. Perhaps they don't have things finalized. Perhaps they're just waiting for tech season to unveil a bunch of news. Either one's possible. The reason I bring this up is A, will we see these devices fully locked into their own ecosystems or be compatible with all? And will these Nest cameras have the potential for more thorough automations? We know it has on-device machine learning and can be customized to alert you based on what it sees. But is that all we're going to get in 2021 out of these devices? Alerts on your phone? Google Home has basically no automation support. And to be fair, most other platforms, except for Home Assistant, don't have a robust camera-based automation system either. They usually just do it based on motion activation. But if we're all supposed to be going towards this ubiquitous Matter standard, does that mean something like a Nest Doorbell or Nest Cam will be compatible with Amazon's ecosystem or even HomeKit? Or was the intention of Matter more geared towards third-party manufacturers to be compatible with everything, but then the top dogs would only make hardware for their own ecosystems? Who knows? I can see a world where you would get basic features like accessing live feed of a Nest Cam on your Echo device, but all these smarts are limited to the Nest ecosystem or the Google Home ecosystem. But then will that put them at a disadvantage compared to companies like Eufy or Ecobee that are making similar devices for cheaper and then leveraging the feature set of the platforms like HomeKit Secure Video? The Nest brand is very strong, so I can imagine it still having strong sales regardless of the competition's features. Either way, I would really like to see Google start adding some automation capabilities to their platform. As the smart home world becomes more ubiquitous in its offerings, the little things will become the big things, whether they stand out or whether they stand out because they're missing. These new Nest Cams look like great devices, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to enjoy having them. I look forward to testing them out later on when they are released. I hope you found this video informative. If you liked it, be sure to like and subscribe button for plenty more videos to come. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below and I'll get to them as best I can. And until next time, see ya.